Hello, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by once again, coming at you with a movie slash Blu-ray review. Today I'm going to be coming at you to review the movie and Blu-ray of Coming at You. How appropriate. So this is a movie that I don't know, the cover's kind of familiar. I may have seen the cover before on VHS or DVD, but obviously when they started, selling Blu-ray or 3D Blu-rays, 3D TVs and things like that, obviously at some point, what's the name of this outfit? MVD Visual put out this 3D Blu-ray. So I've been aware of this title for a while, been curious about it. I ended up coming across it for $8, never having seen it before. Blu-ray 3D includes both 3D versions and 2D version of Coming At Ya. Found it for $8, thought I'd give it a blind buy, give it a try. So obviously I'll be reviewing the movie, then I'll briefly talk about the Blu-ray. I'm not exactly sure when this movie came out. It looks like it probably came out around the same time Amityville 3D, Jaws 3D, and Friday the 13th Part 3 came out, I would imagine. Early 80s, I would imagine. It should be said that I'm not the biggest Western movie fan in the world. I wouldn't say I hate Westerns, but I don't necessarily like them either. So I did see, looking on the box, the back of the box, that it was a Western. I was like, it's $8, it's 3D. It should be at least, it looks like from what they're saying on the artwork of the cover or the back of the box or whatever, that this is a movie that just exploits the, poking stuff right at camera stuff, and might be fun, might be worth $8. Is it? I'd say yes and no, kind of yes, kind of no. The movie, I guess, is an Italian movie, I guess, that was actually made by someone who has made a lot of, what one can only assume is standard two-dimensional Western films. So it definitely, if you're a fan of, I have a little bit of experience with some of the spaghetti Westerns and stuff, but once, as I said, not being a big fan of the genre, I don't have a lot of experience with it, but it's got some of the classic kind of Western music, spaghetti Western music, and stuff like that, and the spaghetti Western feel to it. And anyone who obviously wants to experience like a spaghetti Western in 3D, this is going to be your perfect movie. So a little bit about the movie. I mean, it's a very, admittedly I'm not very well versed in the Western, spaghetti Western or any Western genre necessarily, but it's really kind of a generic kind of story, and one could argue that possibly it's just whipped together to make this 3D Western movie, but it's kind of like this guy and woman are going to get married, and they're attacked by a couple of brothers, outlaws, that basically beat them up or whatever. I don't know why they don't kill the husband, the husband or the soon-to-be whatever, groom or whatever, but they beat him up, leave him for dead, and take his wife. Turns out these brothers, these guys, just basically kidnap women, attractive young women, from wherever they can, and hold auctions and sell them to the highest bidder to whorehouses or whatever. So that's the premise of the story. I found the premise really kind of funny. Not the premise, but what happens. So basically, obviously, the husband-to-be guy goes and hunts down the brothers or whatever, and kind of, I don't know why he doesn't kill people. He does kill people, but I mean like the fat brother or whatever. But it's kind of goofy. So he ends up hunting down, left for dead, ends up hunting down the fat brother, and asks him to tell him where the women are being kept or whatever, and leaves him tied up with, so the rats can chew on the fat brother, and goes and, basically looks like he's going to rescue his wife, or wife-to-be, or whatever the hell she is, and fiance, whatever, we'll just say wife-to-be or wife. Looks like he's about to rescue, her and, possibly all these other kidnapped women that are going to be held, for auction and auctioned off to the highest bidder and stuff, but it looks like all's going well, and I'm kind of like, this is like, I don't know if it's the halfway point of the movie or 30 minutes in or something. I'm like, well, this can't go right, and sure enough, obviously, it doesn't go right. The husband, ends up being caught, and it's kind of fake again, once again, that this guy, they don't kill the husband, so the husband ends up being caught. I can't remember if he oh no, I don't think he lets the women loose yet. He gets caught or whatever. The women are still there, obviously, and at some point some guy's torturing him, or the fat guy wants to torture him for what he did to the fat guy, and the fat guy stupidly had him all tied up hanging from this thing, and the fat guy stupidly cuts the guy's ropes, so the guy ends up getting better of the fat guy and gets away, and I think at that point he might set the women free. He ends up coming across this Irish guy, Irish old guy that helps him as well, and kind of sidekick. You always gotta have a sidekick, and seems like in a couple wagons they get all the young women that are basically going to be sold as hookers to the highest bidder. They get them, they escape, and seems like the women get captured again, and now the husband who was formerly captured is now free again. It's kind of a headache, and not only for the 3D aspect, but even the kind of the plot scenario aspect. And obviously, I'm not going to talk about the movie necessarily that much. I will say that I guess this kind of goes into the 3D, the Blu-ray, but kind of not. You could either include this in the Blu-ray review portion of the review or the movie, review portion of the review. I'll just include it in the movie portion. That the opening credits, incidentally, are really, really cool. And honestly, I probably got my $8 worth, by the time the opening credits were over, because they just throw so much at the screen in the opening credits. I think it's kind of like after the woman was kidnapped and he's preparing to, he's kind of gearing up for the, the hunt or whatever, and it's just like, it just shows this guy in some, room or stable or, barn or whatever, just getting guns and bullets and going through this and that, supplies or whatever. But it's really cool because they'll put credits on like a, on items, in the barn that he grabs, that he's kind of like, here, director of photography, or... So it's really kind of, actually, honestly, I was really kind of impressed when the opening credits were going on, because I'm like, well, maybe this will be a really, really creative movie. And honestly, for me, kind of the most creative part of the movie was the opening credits, and putting the credits on items that couldn't be found in the barn or wherever he's suiting up in. So that was really cool, and honestly possibly got my $8 worth just in the opening credits. And I will almost say that the opening credits were almost the best part of the movie. But there's just so much 3D stuff coming at you, which it's the movie obviously lives up to its title. But there's this funny scene where all the young women are being kept, and bats end up coming into the the basement or dungeon, wherever the hell they're being kept, and bats invade, just hanging on wires, and squeak, 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 and it's just really, really good 3D. And it's basically a Western movie that exists to just throw as much in front of into the 3D camera and in front of your face, and have as much coming at you as they possibly can. And I guess it definitely succeeds in doing that. As you're watching the movie though, and the bad guy doesn't kill the husband, and then the husband doesn't kill the bad guy, and they're kind of just like a tennis match going back and forth. You're kind of wondering halfway through, like, why, these people wouldn't have all this trouble if they just, and this goes for either one of them, the bad guy or the good guy, or the bad guys or the good guy. It's just like, why don't they kill, their opponent? It's just like they beat him up and leave him for dead, so he can, either the bad guy or the good guy could come back and cause you more headaches or whatever. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the opening credits were really cool, but at the end of the day, obviously me not being a huge fan of Western movies doesn't, help at all. But it was fun just for the 3D aspect. I figured that would be, pretty much the movie's, for my money anyway, or in my opinion, the movie's biggest saving grace would be just the 3D aspect, and it did turn out to pretty much be that way. It was fun to see all of the stuff that they throw at the camera, and there's this one scene where they have the good guy tied up, kind of hanging like a dead dog tied by the feet, hanging upside down, and this bad guy takes a bunch of gold coins. Gold, if you don't know, is a heavy substance. So if you take a handful of gold coins and drop them on your face, I've never had it happen to myself, but I imagine it's not the most pleasant experience. So obviously they show a point of view of the good guy as the gold coins are in slow motion, kind of falling towards camera. There's a lot of slow motion 3D that Charles Band did as well in his 3D film by the name of Parasite. I've already reviewed that movie in the 3D Blu-ray of that release if you wanted to check that out as well. But I mean, definitely lives up to the title. Has a lot coming at you, or coming at ya, as it were. Star rating for this film, I guess we'll just go right in the middle and just give it 2 out of 4 stars. 2 stars out of 4 stars. It might be more of a 1.5 or 1.75 star out of 4 star movie, but I'll just give it 2 stars because it's a movie that exists basically to thrive and exist in 3D and throw as much at the viewer as humanly possible, and I think it does end up doing that. This movie is rated R, and I guess I was kind of hoping, it being an Italian production, I guess I was kind of hoping that it would have a little bit of 3D titties, but alas, you do see some titties only when the guy's like wife or fiance or wife to be or whatever is running from or being dragged by the bad guy, dragged by a horse. Kind of titties fall out of the dress or whatever. But obviously that's not a very sensual scene unless you're into whatever, hot women being dragged around by horses, which I'm not, but there is a kind of a side boob shot early on, but I was kind of hoping if it's rated R and it's Italian, maybe we'll see some 3D titties. Alas, that is not the case. So if you're planning on blind buying this, seeing the R rating and hoping for 3D titties, I'm afraid you're going to have to look elsewhere. Incidentally, I don't think I've really ever seen any 3D titties, which is something, or in a movie anyway. I've seen them in real life, so I guess that's better than seeing them in a 3D movie anyway. But anyway, I guess that'll do it for my movie review portion of this review. Now on to the Blu-ray, the 3D and 2D Blu-ray review that came out by MVD Visual at some point. I guess I should have done my research and let you know exactly what year it came out, but what the hell, it doesn't really matter. As we can see on the top there, Blu-ray 3D, which means you need a Blu-ray, a 3D Blu-ray player, and preferably a high-speed HDMI cable, although that's not required, and obviously a 3D TV is required, and 3D glasses, projector, TV and or projector or monitor or whatever, coming at you in actual 3D. Like I say, this artwork is familiar, so I may have seen the cover art in video stores on VHS or DVD in years past. It's hard to remember everything at the end of the day. So the 3D presentation is the only one, of course, out of the two viewing options that I watched. Incidentally, it does look like, you're pretty much just going to have, if you watch this on a 3D setup, TV and Blu-ray player, it's probably automatically going to play 3D. And there was I didn't look around too much on the menu, but I don't know if there's an option on a 3D TV to play 2D. You might have to play it, on a 2D screen to see it in 2D, or you could, depending on what TV you got, you should be able to turn 3D off on the TV to watch it on 2D, on the 3D TV if you want. But I didn't go around the menu. I don't know if there was much of them, but there might have only been play movie on the menu, so that it's possible there's no options to, like some discs like the Scream Factory Friday the 13th Part 3, you can select 2D or 3D. So I don't think there's a select option. So the 3D, a lot of the 3D of this worked very well. A lot of it seemed like it was some shots seemed like they were misaligned and very headache-inducing. A lot of the pop-outs, this isn't necessarily the filmmaker's fault. A lot of it could be whoever mastered this Blu-ray for distribution or whatever. But a lot of the shots and the pop-out stuff, they just, in my opinion, for my eye setup and TV setup, they just like went way too far. Where I got to close one eye to not have my head just be completely destroyed by what I'm experiencing. But a lot of the 3D worked really, really well. A lot of the stuff, some shots seem completely misaligned, like early on when I think it was right after the opening credits where he blows out the little lantern light on the, on the ledge or whatever. There's like two flames, so some things seem misaligned, but for the most part the 3D in this film is very good. One of my complaints, as I said, would be just some of the stuff they just pushed too far, really tried to push way too far out to where it's just like, 2 items and headache, mind destroyer, situation, close one eye or die kind of situations. But once again, that could be, MVD, what MVD Visuals fault, maybe not the movie's fault. But on the whole, the 3D really, really worked well. The opening credits were a hoot, and the bats and just everything that they got people throwing spears at them and shooting flaming arrows at them, and just so much stuff is just whoosh whoosh coming right at you. No 3D titties, which is a bummer, but they missed opportunity. I mean, you got a whole plethora, 2 wagons full of buxom busty babes. I mean, come on, it's Italian movie, nudity doesn't matter to them. Just throw some tatas at the screen, like, oh god, this spirit experience is so harrowing being in the wagon. You could just have a shot of them in the wagon, just, and they're falling out of their dresses, whatever. You like that? So do I. It's fun. But on the whole, the 3D experience was good. Obviously, in my opinion, my experience, there's no perfect 3D experience per se. But this one is, maybe just slightly, well, yeah, maybe just slightly above your average 3D experience. Luckily, I do regard the 3D disc Scream Factory version of Friday the 13th Part 3 is one of the very best 3D experiences, and very grateful for that. But yeah, I mean, definitely expect a lot of stuff coming at you on this 3D Blu-ray release if you're fortunate enough to be able to view it in the way it's meant to be intended to be viewed, if that makes any sense. As we can see on the back here, this is sourced from a 4K master. Coming at you boasts a frame-by-frame digital conversion of the polarized over and under format of the original print, sourced from a brand new internegative into the MVC 3D format and new 5.1 surround sound. I can't comment on the 5.1 as I only watched it on just the 3D TV with kind of 2 stereo speakers. I could definitely confirm that it's in stereo. I can't comment on the 5.1. I wouldn't imagine this being kind of a little more of a lowbrow Blu-ray release. I can't imagine the 5.1 is that amazing, but I can't say one way or another because I haven't experienced it in 5.1. From what I understand, there's really no extra features, just the movie in 2D and or 3D for viewing of this Blu-ray release, so there's nothing that can be said for special features. I did think it was really weird at the end when the movie was over and it was kind of going into what would normally be the closing credits. It looks like everything after the movie was just kind of like the credits for the recent restoration of the film, which I kind of thought was really weird. Like, why can't we have, like, unless there were no, because maybe it was an Italian movie, maybe there were no closing credits originally, but I found that a little strange that, if there were, in the film's original initial release, if there were closing credits, it's a bummer that we can no longer see those. If this movie was made in the early 80s, you would have think there would have to be, I can't remember if Italian movies, I would think that Italian movies back then had closing credits, but I thought it was just kind of a little strange to me that, if in fact there were originally closing credits for this title, that, they took them off. And you can't watch those on this particular version. So if that's the case, that's a big strike against the whatever it is. MVD Visual. Be a big strike against them if they did in fact kind of chop off the original end credits and replace them with their own or whatever. But another thing before I end this review that I thought was interesting, and I didn't think they really had the technology to do it in the early 80s, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if the movie kind of goes very artistically between like black and white and color, and then there's some instances where you've got like a color background and a black and white character walking around, and I was just like, I was really kind of impressed watching this because I was like, how do they do that in the early 80s? But it's possible, and of course I can't confirm this or not having seen any version before this one, but it's possible that effect was, I hate to say this if I'm wrong or whatever, but it's possible that effect was done, for this Blu-ray, for the restoration, and wasn't originally how the film was. I don't know. I probably shouldn't say anything one way or another because I don't know. But I just didn't think they had that technology in the early 80s to like have a black and white guy walk through a color shot so seamlessly like that and stuff like that. But maybe that's how the film was. That's the only reason I say that is because the new closing credits that were created for this restoration have them doing all kinds of, color trickery. They show scenes from the movie we've already seen with different kind of like black and white shot that just a color explosion. So that's the only reason why I think that possibly that black and white color thing was just for this version, but maybe they're just emulating what the movie already did from the beginning, way back when it originally came out. I don't know. But anyway, I guess that'll be my review for Coming At Ya movie and 3D and or 2D Blu-ray release, once again by, I think I have a memory at this age, but I don't, MVD Visual. Definitely probably more or less worth $8. Will I ever watch it again? Possibly, if I ever want to see any 3D side boob or 3D big fat ass guy. Oh God, I almost forgot to mention. Speaking of ass, if you ever want to see a baby's ass in 3D coming right at your face, watch Coming At You in 3D. There's a shot where some woman's bathing her baby. I didn't look close enough to. I want to say it's possibly a female. I think I looked, covered my eyes before I had a chance to confirm that or not. But by then I already had enough of naked 3D baby ass coming right at my face. But if you're a pervert and you like naked baby, I shouldn't even say that. But anyway, be warned, there's naked baby ass coming right at your frickin' face. I'm not a big fan of babies. Like, to me, any animal, a baby of any animal except humans are cute. I don't like human babies, but baby, everything else is cute. But little birds, chirp chirp, or geese or turkeys or little kittens, or even though I don't like dogs, who doesn't like puppies, and baby, anything else is cute, but a human baby, you can get that away from me. So I was just like, oh my God, naked baby ass coming right at you. So they really try to think of as much as they possibly can to come at you, as it were. So I guess that'll pretty much do it. Hopefully I can recover from my memory of the naked baby ass. I'd forgotten all about that until just now. Hopefully I can recover from that memory. Hope you guys enjoyed this review. Thanks a lot for watching, and as always, we'll catch you on the next one.